Good afternoon, Superkickin with Steven fans. Your favorite host right here, the Greg over there, Steven right here. Wow, what a week of wrestling. We have a brand new WWE Champion to talk up. NXT completely rebooted themselves, from the ground up. So we'll talk that up. A lot of new names, new faces there debuting. It's definitely a new time for NXT. So me and Greg, I can't wait to hear Greg's thoughts on that and my thoughts on that. So also, we saw some Dynamite stuff happen. We saw Rampage stuff. And then we saw the new WWE Champion show up on SmackDown last night because the brand split doesn't matter right now since we're not drafted teams yet. So there we go. Right, Greg?
Yep. Crazy stuff happening, man. But it's a good time to be a fan right now.
How was your Chargers? I didn't get to see if they won or not. I forgot. Since my Colts, laid an egg, I kind of stopped paying attention after that. So,
yep, I know I'm the same way. But my Chargers went to Washington, got it done, and looked real good in the process. The straight down the field on the first drive, touchdown, Eckler. Defense looked good. They were a little too fired up. Bosa got a couple. He was in the backfield all night. But he got a couple penalties that, cost him a field goal at least. But, that's the type of energy I want, though. Derwin looked good. He hasn't played in a long time. And defense looking solid. They knocked out Fitzpatrick out of game in the second quarter. And had the backup Heineke come in. And dude was okay. He led a couple, scoring drives. And he rolled out there on Thursday, but that's just because they have a short week and there was not enough time to bring somebody else in. But dude looked decent, so
he got the win Thursday night too.
That's right. That's right.
So the Washington football team won. Who do you got this week?
This week's the Cowboys. So first week Washington, and this week Cowboys. We're going through the NFC East, and I expect the barn burner in that one. But I still expect the Charger W.
And then my Colts get the Rams. Not that
get better.
Any easier. Yeah. The line, though, apparently was 4, which a lot of people are like, what does Vegas know that we don't know? Because that seems like quite a small line for where my Colts are at and where the Rams are at, especially if the Rams looked against the Bears and how my Colts looked against the Seahawks. So, yeah. And honestly, Wentz didn't look that bad. I think it was just they were overwhelmed everywhere else.
They're now looking at it that Wentz is a lot better quarterback than
we had
Dalton that they went against in the first one. So
yeah.
Maybe they give him some stock for that.
We'll see because I'm not expecting much. And it's at home. So, can you imagine? Yeah, we might be 0-2 at home and 0-2, and then headed to Tennessee, and they could be 0-2. So, yeah, what a way to maybe start off your season. But I think Frank Wright has usually won the next game off a loss or something. There was a streak they had going they hadn't lost 2 in a row, but I think they did last year at some point. So we'll see where they go. I'm not, like I said, not holding up marriage hope, but let's just get into Monday Night Raw because, Greg, I'm going to start the end because, it's the biggest story right now. It is Big E cashing in on Bobby Lashley. Lashley tweaked the knee, so he just beat Randy Orton. Good 15-minute. They gave them all the time in the world, I thought, for a TV match. So I thought that was kind of good to see because then it gave you that out Lashley just went through war through Orton. Now Big E. And all day Big E kept saying, I'm going to cash in. And I was like, why is it so obvious? Because you know how we are with Money in the Bank. Like Nikki Ash, came out at the end of Raw or, the end of that women's match and cashes in, or, Seth Rollins in the middle of freaking WrestleMania or the end of WrestleMania. Dolph Ziggler the night after WrestleMania. Not very often, guys call their shot ahead of time. Like Rob Van Dam and John Cena, I think the only two who asked for a match like physically ask for a match because of it. I thought for Big E, it would have made more sense just because the character he's created. But, he called a shot in a way. So, and I kept thinking something's going to happen, Greg. The cash-in isn't going to count. Lashley's going to beat him anyway. And then they pulled the trigger on it. And then, Big E wins. And I'm happy for him, though, because last night you heard you deserve it. There was tons of tweets from superstars congratulating him. So that in backstage, they said the morale got a little boost because of that, just because it seemed like morale was on the low end. So kudos to Big E. And just to think where Big E's come from, I've always brought up Xavier Woods, but Big E, he joked, he was with, when he accidentally hit AJ, he thought, oh man, I'm dead. Because, that could have taken her out. Luckily she's a pretty tough cookie, so she took it. But, that stuff with, Ziggler, I just didn't know where that would go. And I mean, coming full circle down, would we ever thought, Greg, that Big E, it's hard to remember he was NXT champion. I think a lot of people forget he was that. So now he's WWE champion, and I don't know how long it'll be. I hope it's a long, not like a year or two, whatever, but 6-7 months, I think would be a good solid run for him, especially where it's looking. So, Greg, let me have your own thoughts on Big E, your new WWE champion. It just feels weird to even say that still.
I know, it's crazy. I was out Monday night, so I didn't get to see it happen live, but it speaks to the energy and the passion of the fans because I could pretty much timestamp the moment it happened because my phone blew up. Twitter notifications and Facebook notifications, and since I was busy, I wasn't thinking about the cashing in or anything like that. But as soon as I looked down at my notifications and I saw all these congratulations to Big E, I was like, oh, okay. So that happened. So, it already been kind of, the cat been out of the bag, but I figure at least I can go and see how it happened. So I'm loving it. Love Big E for a long time. And it's definitely a new day on Monday Night Raw. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I'm excited for, like I've told you before, I've listened to every episode of the New Day podcast. The moment that came out that they were doing a podcast as a thing, I was like, okay, I'm in. And those first episodes were amazing. I couldn't stop laughing. It's a great thing to do because I drive a lot, so I listen to it in the car. And it's the most entertaining thing I'll listen to all week. And so usually when title changes and things like that happen, there's usually about a week lag between when they actually mention it on the show. But I think most of that was because of the pandemic and them recording multiple episodes at once, so you wouldn't get that lag. But now that we're back live, they're touring, they're on the road, they're together, that we're going to get real-time New Day podcasts on Monday. So I'm excited to see what they're going to say. But after actually seeing it, it was, I loved how they did it. Orton and Lashley had a banger of a match. And then I could see the setup with Lashley choke slamming Randy through a table and then looking like he tweaked his knee while he was doing it. And I was like, okay, there's the setup. And of course, E comes out and succeeds in cashing in. So, and I was watching for it. The pop was great. And you could tell everybody was into it. And just like I said before, the literal flood of congratulations that came out on all the social medias. And I'm not heavy into the social media stuff, but just seeing all those notifications, made me happy because
It said a lot. I think it says a lot about how he's perceived. And now, when does Xavier Woods get his WWE title reign?
Right. In a couple more years.
Greg, he's lost half his The Party crew on Up, Up, Down, Down. So he needs something, man. Because Adam Cole's gone. Tyler Breeze is, one of his best friends, I guess, other than New Day. Tyler Breeze was the guy that they teamed up together in FCW, and they held it. I think they even roomed together for a bit. So now we have no longer The Party for Uno, which, like I said, if you ever get a chance, Greg, a good hour and a half of YouTube watching. It's just so fun to see them play Uno. They've done live Uno, so they had card Uno, and they've done like online. Nice. So it's kind of fun to see that and that was on Wednesday. So now, unfortunately, that will no longer be happening just because of different companies. So still curious to see where Tyler Breeze ends up if he does end up anywhere. But I thought Kofi, Xavier sprinting. I mean, that's the fastest I've seen them run. And it seemed like it. And that, like you said, now I want to check out that podcast to see how they will bring it up. And I mean, you could just tell, they were in it from day one together. Like either we're all going to make it or we are all going to fail. And they're just going to have to kick us all out. It's like we're going to ride together or die together. And to think that now we got for life. Exactly. Now we got Monday night happening. We're going to have New Day against the Bloodline. And some people are like, well, why do you do it? Why not do it now? I think you have to keep the momentum going with what's going on, especially with AEW putting up numbers. Now some of their ratings are starting to rival Raw. And that's got to be telling. So I think now you just got to start putting pay-per-views are still important. But at the same time, TV is probably more important now. Because what's going to be the next contract coming up? TV contracts. Pay-per-view you always have, I think. Yep. Even if you don't have it on Peacock, you might go to Fight TV or you might go to there'll be always an avenue for that. But TV, if you're not showing the ratings, who's to say USA or NBC or Fox doesn't say, okay, we're done. And, they have to go somewhere else. And maybe, so I think you've got to get, the Bloodline versus New Day. That probably should main event on Monday Night Raw. That's going to be like the kids say, a banger of a match because, you got pretty much the top guys right now happening. So,
yeah, your boy might have to go and be in the building because I did not know that this show was going to be in Raleigh.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know where. Yeah, I never know where it's at anymore.
Yeah, I only heard it. I just finished watching the SmackDown broadcast about half an hour ago, and they were saying that Raw is in Raleigh. I'm like, what?
And how far is that from you?
2.5 hours. So that's one in New Day podcast and one Sports Center podcast. So that's I think I might have to make the journey down and go see that. Yeah.
And I'm going November 15th. It's here in Indy. We'll have Raw here. So that'll be kind of fun to finally be back to see wrestling. I'll feel like some normalcy. I've seen music. Now I need to see wrestling. And then I'll feel like, okay, yes, the pandemic's still happening, but I still feel like I'll have some real life stuff. So, some other things happened on Raw. We also had Charlotte defeating Shayna Baszler. The big story there was Charlotte now has her own doll named Charlie, which, of course, Greg, is more than Lily on the WWE shop and is officially available on the WWE shop.
Wow.
So, Shayna Baszler and Charlotte put up a good fight. It's all about Nia Jax and Shayna. I think we'll see them fight on, Monday night. Just kind of let that play out. So, what do you think about the match between Shayna and Charlotte? And then what do you think, with the whole Charlie doll, Greg?
Well, it's just the setup to get to the Alexa part. The match was what it was. I wasn't very impressed by it, but I'm happy with it just because it finally put the nail in the coffin with Nia and Shayna. No more tag team. Thank goodness. Done with
until next week. Oh,
right. Well,
until they can
fight each other.
They'll both rest on SmackDown.
Yeah, if they team up again, I'm going to be, I'm already halfway to skipping through their segments as it is.
Yeah.
So I know this was the setup to do another wrinkle in the Charlotte Alexa story and the Nia versus Shayna story. So it served its purpose. I thought the segment with Charlotte and Alexa and the Charlie doll was kind of funny. Everybody knew it was in the box. All you missing is Brad Pitt yelling, "What's in the
What's in the
box?" So
Then ahead. Oh wait, spoiler. Sorry, in case you haven't seen it. 20 or 30 some years down the road.
Right, and it looks just like Charlotte with the blonde hair, the robe, and
the teeth.
It was too funny. Yep, the teeth.
So does WWE have they must have a whole line of all the women's superstars. So whenever Alexa Bliss can go against somebody, they'll just have that doll ready. Maybe they have a Shayna one ready and Nia Jax and Nikki. But yeah, the Charlie doll. And then Charlie Caruso, remember our former backstage announcers, like, oh, it seems like people still remember me because everybody kept tweeting at her about the Charlie doll since now she's ran off to bigger and better pastures on ESPN and First Take. And her take, I think she does as well with some podcasts with two other women. So, yeah, she's all over ESPN. Here's also another match we got, Greg. We thought this would happen at Extreme Rules, but it didn't. It happened on Raw. So Drew McIntyre and the Viking Raiders defeated Jinder Mahal and his crew. Not a bad match. I don't know where this is going as usual because do we do Drew and Jinder at Extreme Rules? Because yet, Greg, we haven't heard any Extreme Rules stipulation to any matches yet, even though we're getting Extreme Rules in a week from Sunday. So we need to maybe add something to these matches. But do you think we see Drew and Jinder go at it at Extreme Rules, or where in the heck is this whole feud going?
Hopefully,
or do we want it to go anywhere? The pre-show.
No, we don't want it to go anywhere.
Yeah,
it should be on the kickoff show, so we won't have to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tired. I know they got to reshuffle Drew and send him over to SmackDown. But
yes, that's probably most needed. I think we've talked about that. I think Drew needs that to kind of. I feel like he still brings it, but you got to think mentally he's probably done, like on Raw, because it just keeps going to the same things. And I think he needs those new faces on SmackDown. Especially if you really. Hopefully they don't switch too many, back and forth, like really give faces moving. So, like you said, if they do it on the pre-show, that's fine. Kick off the night, get the crowd going. So, Jeff Hardy, I guess after the internet decided he deserved more, Greg. I don't know if we really talked about that much, but apparently the internet was abuzz with Jeff Hardy deserving more. And I tweeted out, if this was Jeff Hardy like 10 years ago, okay, he shouldn't be in a 24/7 title chase segment. But I'm sorry, it's Jeff Hardy. Like now, does he need to be chasing WWE title? No. Like this probably with Damian Priest is where he should be. Kind of in that mid card, putting over guys. And he even commented saying, "Hey, I go to work, I do what I'm told." You have to wonder if he's kind of mentally checked out and maybe he's thinking AEW, not necessarily to get back with Matt, but probably to run with the young guns there. So if his contract comes up, are we going to be surprised if he leaves? No. I mean, honestly, at this rate, it'll probably be sooner rather than later at this point. So, but Greg, I agree. I feel like this segment was where he was needed, but kind of give me your own thoughts. What did you, like I said, I don't remember if we brought it up, but I know the internet was like, oh my God, he deserves better. Do you think he deserves better?
Yeah, they're running around chasing the 24/7 title. Yeah. But at the same time, I agree with you that He doesn't need to be in the world title picture. He doesn't need to, um, that mid card is about his playing ground right now.
Yeah.
That's, he's been there, done that. He's been at the mountaintop. He's had like the biggest moments that you could ask for as a performer in this business, and his legacy is set. He's done. So
Yeah.
now is time to, like the guys will say when they get older, to give back to the younger guys. Give them the rub. Let them, raise their profile a little bit just by being in the ring with them. And that's what you can say for Priest. He's doing a lot better being in the ring with Jeff. They had a good match, nothing wrong with it. And at this point in WWE, there's nothing left for Jeff to do. Now, if
he's going through the motions, you could just tell too. I don't think there's really anything behind what he's doing anymore.
Right, and I think WWE has kind of stunned that creative flow of his.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I would love to see him, jump over to AEW and do something with Matt again, or create a whole new persona, which he's good at.
Yes.
Do indie stuff and get his fire back. But I think his fire's pretty much been snuffed out by WWE Creative, and he's just, like he said, just doing what he's told and not rocking the boat. But everybody, whenever he comes out, he's going to get that love. He's going to get that respect from the fans. Mm-hmm. But we shouldn't expect to see much from him on WWE television.
He got his old song back, so he should be happy about that. Because Drew McIntyre's still fighting for broken dreams, so we're still trying to get that back. And they are going to Europe soon, so I kind of hope that they give Drew broken dreams there. Maybe in Scotland, like if they're at Scotland, or like over there. I feel like that makes more sense. So I'm going to call these matches back to back because we had Nikki Ash defeat Tamina, even though Tamina took her out anyway. And then, of course, Rhea Ripley defeated Natalya because, why not? And, Tegan and Shotzi, see, I forgot her name because they haven't been on TV. We still think they should be the tag team contenders, champion contenders, but it looks like we're going to get Rhea and Nikki against Tamina and Natalya. Greg, are they going to win it? Because it just feels like they are.
And Tina Shotzi shouldn't be the contenders. They should be the champions.
They should be the champions.
They've already beat Tamina and Natalya 3 times.
Yes.
And so I don't know why they haven't even already gone and pulled the trigger on them if they're already having to beat the champions so many times. And just throwing Nikki and Rhea into the mix, doing the whole odd couple nonsense again, is just dumb. I mean, you were giving, the newcomers the push, which is justified. New faces, something we haven't seen, and they're getting all the wins on the champs, but you're not giving them a title match. So I don't get the whole 3-way dance that these guys are doing. Makes no sense. So we should finally just do a tornado for the championship. All 3 teams get it over with, and Shotzi and Tegan should
come
win.
out on top. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they go that route, but it's looking more and more like we're going to get Nikki and Rhea against Tamina and Natalya at Extreme Rules, and I think you got to pull the trigger there because Natalya and Tamina, they got their feel good moment way late. They still should have won it at WrestleMania, and they didn't. So whatever that, the tag team for the women is, it's on life support on both brands, NXT 2.0 and the women's. They probably just need to combine it back. I hope the brand split does that, but it probably won't. So we'll see. Next up, we had AJ Styles almost Mason T-Bar defeat the New Day. Mansoor Mustafa Ali almost gets the win for the team. Really good match. I thought even Mason T-Bar held their own. Good 8-man match that really gave everybody time to shine. So any thoughts on that match there, Greg?
I hate 8-mans. They're
It's a lot
never
of moving
good.
parts.
They haven't been good since, unless it's War Games or the old school 8-mans back in the territory days. They're just a giant cluster. So everybody gets a little high spot, but it wasn't anything special to me. So
Yeah.
that was my bathroom break match there. So I didn't even watch half of it.
Then Dewdrop defeated Eva Marie, and we're still getting them feuding. And Dewdrop, I think she's slowly getting over with the crowd. She's trying to do this thing. Almost feels like Emma back in the day when Emma used to do that. So I don't know if they're just trying to make her Emma light, but it does seem like the crowd's getting behind Dewdrop. Has Eva Marie won any matches since coming back, Greg? Because I feel like she hasn't. Her and Selena need a battle of the losers, and then somebody can pick up a win, hopefully.
Yeah, the only time Emma, or see, now you put Emma on my brain because I was so in love with Emma.
Mm-hmm.
The only time Eva won a match is when Dewdrop was wrestling for her.
And won for her. That's true.
Right. So, further storyline, have, Dewdrop, beat up Eva. See,
do you think Dewdrop's getting over or not?
Yeah, she is.
It's just a slow burn, it seems like. I think it would have, I think she need to really set herself apart somehow. And I don't think she's done that yet, but probably needs to take this feud with Eva to move on from that and see what she can do. So, yeah. And then we talked about Orton and Lashley. I thought, for a TV match at 13, 15-minute range, just both going at it. And then Big E cashes in, and that is Monday night. I mean, really, the Big E moment just kind of like wiped everything away. That was the feel-good moment of the week. So, So let's do a quick commercial break so we could talk up, Greg, NXT 2.0 as they're going by now. No more black and gold brand. No more NXT 2.0. I bet the show over on AEW is feeling really happy that now the NXT is 2.0 because that's what they go by as well. So there we go. But let's get some elite performance talk to get that going. All righty, Greg, I cannot wait to hear your thoughts on NXT, the reboot, everything, ground up. I say some first takeaways just before we get to them, because there was a lot of new faces, so we'll have to try to remember all the new faces they had come out as well. I thought the look is better. I feel I can actually see the fans, and I like the seating of the fans. I thought it spaced them out well. You could really see people. The color really helps. I think it makes them pop a little bit more. I do think as well you debuted way too many people. It almost feels like, a main event show where we're just like, hey, we'll just throw these guys out there and girls out there and, let's have at it. And then we'll get into it. But I can't wait to hear the new name change for Rick Steiner's son. I have my own thoughts on it, Greg, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. But let's get an overall view. It's going to take some getting used to. That's how I'm looking at it, to try to learn these new faces, take in what they want to do now, because it does feel like legit that they want to do up-and-coming people versus some established NXT people. If that, and we'll see where that goes. I mean, so Greg, what are your kind of first takeaways on NXT 2.0?
I don't like it.
Okay.
I will.
Short and sweet. No.
Yeah, it's. I agree with you in the sense that uh, the new building is much better, definitely better than CWC. Um, Brightening it up so you can see the fans, you can see the interaction better, much better. Where it seemed like they were fighting in a jail cell in the CWC with all the plexiglass and the chain link, and like you can see three people peering in from
Which is
the other
cool. I
side.
think if you want to do an event there, like event style type thing, like whatever you want to call it, prison prison rules
Yeah,
or something, like some event. But the fact that we just, like you said, I mean, you could barely see fans,
right.
especially if you had a fan with like a black mask on. Well, good luck trying to see them. Like, so, but anyway, sorry to interrupt, but
But
yeah, go ahead.
so that's the positives that I saw out of it. The building looks good. The setup looks good. The little horseshoe thing they're doing, brighten it up so you can see the interactions, and it doesn't have the NXT feel to it though.
Hmm.
And I compare it to the first time I watched NXT. I don't know what season it was because I missed the first couple 2-3 years maybe. Um, as soon as I watched that first episode, even though I had not seen a single performer um, before, that Full Sail crowd, they were so into it. They were so knowledgeable. I knew instantly who was over. I knew who the big deal was. And this is back when the Four Horsewomen were still doing their thing down there. Enzo and Cass, Blake and Murphy with Alexa Bliss. Um, and the star power was just crazy. And these were people that we hadn't seen before. They were just, getting their start. Um, but the matches were amazing, and it felt different, felt new, and it felt like a throwback to the old school. Me, you being old school guys, loving the territory days of
Mhm.
World Class Championship Wrestling, NWA, WCW, going back all the way back to then. The long term storytelling that they did
Yeah.
was so good. The payoffs were so good, and I fell in love with it instantly from seeing it. Huge difference from then watching that first NXT match 5 years ago, I'll say, to this new 2.0 where you just transition to a new building, change the color scheme, change the sense that I don't sense that it's still the stars of tomorrow more than these are all the guys that are working out trying to make their name now, and they're going to have some matches. Uh, so it feels like if you're going to go to a minor league baseball game,
Yeah.
you know,
I
you're
can
going
see
to see
that.
you're going to see a 15-13 game because these pitchers are not good. You're going to see lots of scoring because these hitters are good and they've just played against minor league talent. And everything is on a smaller scale. So they up the theatrics, they throw more gimmicks into um, the how they showcase it to keep your eye on something,
Mhm.
um, so you don't leave. And that's kind of how this feels. It feels kind of minor league. It feels like they've really flipped the switch from, um, you know, putting over the guys the um, the quality of the match to going down. And I have nothing against um, the stars of tomorrow, the new people that we're going to be seeing 5 years from now in the main event of WrestleMania, um, holding titles on Raw or SmackDown. I have no problem with that. But the way they're doing it, I don't like it. Like you said, it's too many people at once. You can't get that emotional attachment to those people. Um, there needs to be a tiering of all these new faces so we can acclimate to it and have a chance to get some emotional investment behind these guys. Because if you do it all at once, it's all going to get lost in the shuffle. We're not going to care about anybody. So that's the big issue I have with him, because I lost count of how many new people I saw, and they're all fish in a barrel at this point. So you showcase 2, 3, per week, because you have enough people to do this type of rollout for an indeterminate amount of time, and you get us used to them that way, not drop 20 people on us in one show and then go, this is the new NXT. So I'm not a fan of the way they're doing it. I hope it turns out to be something, but as of right now, I'm not a fan of it.
Well, isn't that interesting to kind of jump ahead to the last event of the night, the last match? I won't say main event because, Greg, we know what the main event was. The lovely wedding segment. But so we said all that, and you think it's a brand new start, and then you put Champ as your new champion. So I feel like that was kind of backwards. Like, yes, Pete Dunne's been there for a while. Kyle O'Reilly's been there. And then we threw in, the Vaughn, what's his name again? I need to look it up. Vaughn Wagner, which makes me think of the Michigan basketball player back in the day. I think he's in the NBA now. But anyways, he got thrown in because, LA Knight was in there as well. Who got taken out? Oh, Kyle O'Reilly got taken out. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it should have been one of those three, not Ciampa, right? I mean, that's kind of weird. Like, you're introducing everything new, and then you have Ciampa, who's now going to be a 2-time champion. And I guess it makes sense because he's the old guard. So whoever you're building up for him is going to be the next big thing, booked as the next big thing to beat him. So, and of course, we already have Braun Breaker at the end of the night, stepping up and looking at him like, okay, I want you. So, not a bad match. It was weird that the wedding main evented because the wedding actually happened, other than Beth Phoenix stepping in to officiate, which was kind of fun. I thought, the crowd wanted Damian Priest, but I guess Damian Priest wanted to celebrate afterwards. But yeah. But our new NXT champion, which I hope Samoa Joe could still come back and wrestle. He doesn't need to be champion like we've said before, but now Tommaso Ciampa is your new NXT 2.0 champion. So how did you feel about that booking, Greg? Because like I said, I think if you're going to start all fresh, then give it to Pete Dunne. Give it to Wagner, who's your brand new guy. Give it to LA Knight. But it was weird that we went the route that we did.
Yeah, I was thrown off a little bit by them putting LA Knight in the match at the beginning of the night. And I loved the segment at the beginning of it where he and Braun Breaker face off. And, so he essentially calls him out and goes, I'll show you, how we do it here. And, goes on to lose the match. But, knowing what they're going for with this new reboot, I'll tell you straight up, if Von Wagner had won that match, I would stop watching NXT. Cold turkey. There's no way you can tell me that he is better than Ciampa, LA Knight, and Kyle O'Reilly. Or the third guy?
Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne. So that definitely, I'm glad that didn't happen. Even though they had a moment at the end of the match where it almost happened. So I'm sure they teased it just to kind of get a rise out of you, and then, it turns out the way it should.
And they have to feel pretty high on him if they put him in that match, though. So I wonder if we'll see some good stuff for him down the road. Yeah,
I hope so, but down the road.
Yes.
And then as far as the guy who actually won, me, I wanted LA Knight to win so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if him getting busted up had anything to do with him. They did a little course correct during the match, But you see him took a bump and his place turned into the Christmas mask, like JR used to say. He was he hard way in the worst way.
Mhm.
When the ref gets out the towel and starts dabbing you up, that
Yeah,
something
you're
went
not good.
horribly wrong. Yeah. So the fact that Ciampa won, they fed into that storyline all through the show. Goldie has been going on for a couple of weeks. Um, so I get it. I like it. And like you said, you're going to need the old guard there to usher in the new guard. And when whoever the new guy is that takes him down is going to be the new king of the mountain and, prove to himself that, he is worthy. So I get
Mhm.
it why they put Ciampa in that position. I would have been perfectly fine with Pete Dunne winning too. Um, but he seems to be, it would be a great match between those two. So I'm cool with either one of them winning it. But um, Ciampa's the guy I wanted to win once I saw LA Knight get hurt. So I was fine with the finish.
And you wondered if the LA Knight, like you said at the beginning of the night, seemed like maybe it could have been like a red herring. Oh, he lost, but he's going to win the big one. So then,
Yeah.
Braun still has a chance. But yeah, we'll see where. I mean, like we said, I think LA Knight needs to go to the main roster at this point. I know he's only been there down a short time, but I feel like he's ready for it. It's kind of like Damian Priest. I wonder if he'll be better suited up there, just to kind of make his name known. How about the wedding, Greg? Anything to
Hey,
we have our first official wedding that happened. I mean, there was
hey,
no shenanigans, so
it happened just like I called it last week.
you
That
did. Yep.
it wasn't going to get ruined by an enemy. Is going. The whole thing was for
So the
finally going to
honeymoon
get
will.
the. No, we're not going to get the honeymoon out. Well, that would be a funny
We
segment,
did.
but
I
it'd
mean,
be
remember Drake
somewhat
Maverick lost 24/7 title in his hotel room, so you never know.
true, but it never got to consummate his marriage. Um, but the whole thing hinged on Dexter Loomis finally speaking words that we could all hear.
Mhm.
Um, and like I said, going all the way back to, and I've been watching this guy since Impact when he was the same character, same look, same clothes, same everything. I don't think he even, no, I hope he showered in that amount of time. Um, Sam Shaw and, still stalker gimmick, still bug eyed, never blinking. Um, and stalking a redhead. I want to say it was Maria Kanellis. I may have been wrong, but
Mhm.
there was somebody on the Impact roster that he was obsessive about, and he still never spoke a word in his years in Impact. About the same gimmick over to NXT. Never hasn't spoken a word in what's it been 2 years since he's been on the
Yeah, I
NXT
think at
roster.
least.
So all this time we've been watching him, he's never spoken a word. So that was the big thing, is he actually going to speak? And so um, I I popped like crazy when he finally covered Beth's mic and actually spoke. And he goes,
Mhm.
and everybody had great reactions. He was sitting there, all the wrestlers who were the court,
Mhm.
all their eyes get big and the jaws hit the floor. And when he says do, the whole crowd goes nuts. So
Mhm.
there's your big payoff, more so than them getting married. Dexter Loomis speaking a sentence into a microphone that we can all hear. So, it just shows that, that we're all, fans at the end of the day. We all love the theater of it.
Mhm.
Maybe not everybody watching him in the Impact and everything, but we've been watching his NXT run the whole time, and seeing him draw the caricatures and you know acting without words for so long. That was cool to finally see him say something, anything.
Mhm.
Kind of like Orange Cassidy or in the AEW. It went a long time before we heard him speak a single word. and then he seems like the smartest guy in the room. So it'd be fun to see where it goes from there. But that pop, that payoff when he had finally said "I do" was crazy. I had to rewatch it 2-3 times just because of the explosion from the crowd was so great. So you gotta love it.
And I take credit for bringing Austin Theory back to NXT
Yes,
because
you
I
did.
spoke that into existence. So, and I think that's where he's needed. I don't, he had wrestled some dark matches. I think 1 or 2 dark matches. I think he definitely needs to stay in NXT and keep learning under Gargano and Candice, and working with Indy and kind of now you have Dexter Lumis in that whole way family. So yeah, let him keep working owning his craft down there. Maybe in a year, maybe 6 months a year, he can try his wares again. Maybe after WrestleMania, on the main roster. But we'll kind of see where he goes. How about some other things, Greg? The Creed brothers looked good again. We also had Ridge Holland defeat Drake Maverick. How about the new Goth Mandy Rose? Are you down with the brunette, Greg? Because I still think she looks good as hell. So I think I'm fine with it.
It took me. I was still staring at the screen because it didn't look like her anymore. And imagine what a hair color will do. But she gone from being like the brightest woman in the room because her hair is like looking into the sun, and then you go completely opposite, tone it all the way down, as brown can be, and change her gear into all darks, and it doesn't even look like the same woman. So she fits in better with Gigi and the other chick, JC. Yeah.
Wasn't that weird that they made her fit in with them instead of maybe them trying to I think they believe more in the 2 younger women and making just Mandy Rose is kind of there for a veteran presence like we keep talking about. But yeah, so and I think now I wonder if her ring work will change a little bit. Does she get maybe more aggressive and bring something different to the table because of that? So we'll kind of see. Carmelo Hayes introduced Trick Williams. That segment was real weird too, wasn't it? Like they were trying to push Carmelo as a heel. I don't think it was working though. So we'll have to kind of see that play out more. Is that how you were feeling, Greg, or did you feel like it was working?
Well, no, I figured he came out as a babyface and they turned him heel in the segment. So Trick's kind of the enabler, the old best friend who before he made it, they used to run the streets together and maybe do some things that were not very good. Kind of hoodlums kind of thing.
Like find his street cred back again.
Right. And so he's without saying the words, he's kind of calling him soft. You're being too nice, you're being too, and so he's kind of egging him on. I'm seeing where it's going. And so they're just turning him heel during that segment. And I didn't think it was smart to do it against Duke Hudson because he's already a heel. So let's try to double turn them and make Hudson a face. It doesn't make sense that they would do it with him as opposed to any other babyface that could have walked out from back there. I mean, Odyssey Jones, they just had a match with him to get his contract. I mean, why not use him? So unless they're trying to turn Duke Hudson also, I didn't get why they would use him. But I see that the object was to turn Carmelo heel.
Yeah, I mean, I think it, halfway through the segment, they tried changing it up. And then he was supposed to announce, possibly who he's going to, because he had that contract, and then he never announced who he was going to face. So I was like, all right, I guess we'll see that another time. BFAB, I thought looked pretty good in the ring. I'm really excited for her and Electra Lopez to kind of see what they'll do together as far as that's concerned. Any thoughts on BFAB, Greg, getting her in-ring debut finally?
I was fine. Happy to see her, get her match. I didn't think the match was that good. To tell you the truth, it looked a little clunky. But, maybe it's jitters. Maybe it was, just let's get it in and get it over with and, push the narrative with Electra. So there's nothing. I mean, she looks-wise, she jumps off the screen. But, talent-wise, I didn't see anything that was
It's going to take her a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen were going against Imperium. They lost. But, we're pushing these new names. But let's just get to that beginning match, Greg. Because the internet, and I love social media. I love it. Because they were all abuzz that Rick Steiner's son has a new name. And they can't believe the audacity that NXT WWE would have to take off the Steiner name. And I'm thinking, first off, Greg, it's Rick Steiner's son. Like, we're not talking Charlotte Flair. We're not even talking, The Rock's daughter. Like, if they just say, oh, she's not The Rock's daughter. Let's face it, Scott Steiner was the bigger Steiner brother. I mean, honestly. So, giving, I forget what he went by originally, but Braun Breaker, new name, whatever, looked pretty good against LA Knight. The name change, though, I'm like, I don't think it's a big deal as internet, as Twitter made it to be. I guess there's a lot of Rick Steiner fans, apparently, that I just didn't know existed, Greg, because they just thought it was a travesty to take this guy's name and, like we've never seen it before. We come to expect girls are going to get name changes. And it's probably going to be completely different because what does WWE need to do? They need to trademark it. If you let him keep the name he's been using, well, they can't have that because he has it. So it is what it is. And then to give him the end of the night. So obviously they believe him regardless of the name, so I think fans should be happy he was featured at the start of the night and the end of the night. Because like we said, this is a whole new NXT. We're really seeing new faces that are going to step up. So any thoughts, Greg, on the name change for, apparently Mr. Popular, Rick Steiner's son?
See, this is where, getting some vignettes, some little teasers would have come in handy.
Because we don't know who he is.
Right. I remember reading something maybe weeks ago that Rick Steiner's son was in developmental, but I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't care enough to go and look at his picture or whatever. And, Braun Breaker, just another, meathead. And I don't know that he's Rick Steiner's son. And it doesn't click in for me until he's having his match with LA Knight and they drop the dog-faced gremlin reference. And so naturally, when they say that, first thing you think of is Rick Steiner, and like, oh, okay. So I get it when they did that, but you could have, hyped up his arrival just by giving us a couple vignettes, a couple teasers, because people would be interested. People, our age remember Rick Steiner, love the Steiner brothers, and it maybe have brought some more eyes to it.
Well, some of us love the Steiner brothers.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I'll be honest, Greg. I didn't care for them at all. Because I think I caught Raw at the tail end of what their run was. And then once they went to, I said NWO, but once they went to WCW, I was like, whatever. Scott Steiner, you talk about looking like a meathead. Scott Steiner looks like the biggest, who knows what's in his body. That's all, We always talk about what's in the vaccine. My question would be like, what is in his body? Because nobody's body is that, that genetic freak like that a lot of that's not normal. Maybe at the beginning, back in his Michigan days and, back in Raw days. But once he hit the NWO, Greg, there had to be something. Somebody had to be sticking something in him, or it was him doing it himself, because he had veins popping out. I didn't even know you had existed.
Right.
It's like when Lashley has the weird veins pop out. I'm like, there's some, there's got to be, or like The Rock now. Like The Rock's trying to tell us this is all natural. I'm looking at myself at 40, and I'm like, there's no way that's natural. So were you a big Steiner fan though, Greg, back in the day?
I enjoyed the Steiners.
Okay.
They were fun to watch, and especially when they got into big matches with the Road Warriors or the Midnight Express, when they had like those big high-profile matches. I was there for it. My little brother, his favorite wrestler was Rick Steiner.
Okay.
And so we loved the Steiner craziness, and thinking about it afterwards, the way that Braun came out in that first segment with LA Knight, and he's bouncing up and down, he's all smiling, he's like Rick. It was very Rick Steiner back when he was wearing the ear covers.
Yes.
Yeah, and the singlet. So I was like, okay, now it's making sense. But I was a Steiner Brothers fan. There was a team that I like better, but I did like the Steiner Brothers before Scotty became the Stay Puft, muscle man. So, and
cutting horrible promos here and there. Right. I guess we always know his. I have a 33 and a third chance of winning 50% of the time. So there you go.
Yeah, the Big Papa Pump stopped Scott Steiner. Yeah.
I do love that Jordan Grace and Impact has like taken upon herself to be the next Scott Steiner. I think that's kind of cool, because how often does a woman want to model herself after a man? So that's kind of cool to see. But and I know I think they teamed up once, and she wore the chainmail, kind of like how he wore. So good for her to get, sometimes meet their heroes, Greg. Unlike Tommy Dreamer this week. Speaking of guys who had a rough week, have you watched that episode on Vice TV yet? The Plane Ride from Hell?
No.
Okay.
I want to though, because I always hear about it, and I haven't seen it.
And have you heard the comments that came out of it because of Tommy Dreamer?
No.
Okay, so Tommy Dreamer, unfortunately, he is suspended indefinitely from Impact right now, because he made the comment like, oh, it was a joke, and I'm paraphrasing. He's like, it's just like me wearing this double man bun. People take offense to it, but it's really not offensive. Apparently, Ric Flair showing his junk on an airplane to a stewardess was a joke, but at the same time, does that woman want to see, if you're a stewardess, you just want to do your job on an airplane. You don't want to be confronted by anybody's junk at any time, anywhere. Exactly. No woman wants to be like, unless it's in the right moment. So he is unfortunately, and he's obviously gone radio silent. Ric Flair's gone radio silent on the what's happening, because now they're wondering. I think he was, we brought it up. I think the fact that they took out Chavo, I think he was going to come in with Andrade, Greg, to kind of fill that void. And now, so you can watch it on vicetv.com, and it's available there. And then, just watch it on like a computer, like a website. So if you need to catch it, I kind of want to see it though, because we've heard about this plane ride and little things. And somebody from Bleacher Report wrote, or maybe Sports Illustrated said, they had an article ready to go, ready to publish, and they sent it to the editors, because the editors thought, oh, this will be a fun little, like maybe puff piece. And then once they read it, they nixed it. So they did not let that article see. And of course, he brought up, well, what did they expect when the article's entitled Plane Ride from Hell? Like, hell's a fun place to be. Like, like there's not a lot of foo-foo-ness to, saying something is like from hell. But so yeah, I think we both need to check it out, and maybe we could give our short comments. I'm sure by then there'll be a new controversy though, Greg. So by then it'll be old news, but still, I kind of want to see it.
But
Tommy
it comes
Dreamer
up.
comments. Go ahead.
It comes up a couple times every year, though. It's
Yes.
the most infamous story in all of professional wrestling. So
especially with Dark Side of the Ring, because that's what
Yeah.
they want to do. I mean, they did the Benoit case 2-parter last year. I mean, that's that's been, how many times has that been touched upon? So I'll be curious to see, because I think Brock Lesnar was talked about a little bit in it. And then, JR was kind of being JR, possibly playing it off as well. Maybe not as bad as Tommy Dreamer, but still, giving the boys will be boys type speech, which, we've all said needs to go. That's been gone away for a while. So, and I know some people brought up, aren't we glad that guys and girls are just backstage playing video games with each other, or, are actually having good camaraderie instead of some of the stuff that happened back. We don't even know what I don't think we know half of what the 80s and 90s was like, and this was early 2000s, so who knows what. But we'll have to check that out. So I think that's a good stopping point for NXT 2.0. Greg, going ahead, we're going to see new faces, and we're going to have to see, like you said, I think you need to do some vignettes. So you got to put something to give us an idea of what these people are. You just can't throw guys out there and be like, okay, you know who they are. I mean, I guess everybody on Twitter knew Rick Steiner's son, other than maybe me and you, Greg. So maybe we're in the dark, but everybody went to bat for him. So,
right, but we need that emotional investment. It's like whenever first watched that NXT, that first episode, I was talking about Enzo and Cass, the moment they came out and the crowd popped, and they had a way of introducing themselves. You remember the thing, my name is Izzo Amore, yada, yada, yada. And it brought everybody in and it gave you that emotional attachment. Why should I care about these guys? And they had their own little shtick. And these other characters that we're seeing right now, they don't have their stick. They don't speak for themselves. We don't know why we need to care about these people.
They look like creative wrestlers too. Like, look,
right.
Like the Josh Briggs and Jensen guy. I mean, plain old, wrestling trunks, and then that's it. Nothing. Now the Creed brothers, that's what they're going for with Diamond Mine, and I get that.
Yeah.
So we are even like, at least Braun Breaker had like the NXT like bright singlet to kind of stand out. And like we said, give them the mic afterwards, or give them the mic before the match. Even do the old school in-screen thing, like, we caught up with him backstage earlier in the day. This is what he had to say, old Monday Night Raw stuff that they used to do. So I wonder, moving ahead, and Triple H isn't going to be part of this for a little bit because of his health, trying to get back to health. So, you wonder if Vince takes a bigger role, or Shawn Michaels, Bruce Pritchard, those guys, like, kind of see where they go with it. But so let's do another kind of commercial break to get some realty talk going and talk about Dynamite, and then we'll finish up with SmackDown and Rampage as we finish up our week in wrestling.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSPORTS1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering, if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322, and make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSPORTS1.com sent you.
All righty, we're back talking up AEW Dynamite, giving you some reaction to everything that happened there. We had Adam Cole kick off the night, do some story time. He did defeat Frankie Kazarian. Not a great match, not a bad match. Just a match to kind of get Adam Cole used to working AEW. And once again, Greg, Twitter was helpful because Kazarian and Adam Cole have history, because Kazarian was in the Bullet Club for like a hot second to try to, defeat them from the inside, and that never works. So there you go on that end. But the big news there, Greg, is that we are now going to get the Super Click back together. Adam Cole, the Young Bucks against Jurassic Express, and Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy and Christian Cage at Arthur Ashe Stadium on Dynamite Grand Slam, which I think will be fun to see. Adam Cole working with the Young Bucks again, and I think that's going to be the true where we're going to see Adam Cole. I think this was a kind of a tune-up match. He had been out of ring for a couple weeks or a few weeks. Maybe he'd been working here and there, but now he's ready to step it up and give us a good, hard-hitting, real Adam Cole type style match. Now that we'll get Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy against the Super Click, and I bet we'll see T-shirts of that by next week, Greg. So any thoughts on Adam Cole, debuting wrestling-wise in AEW on Wednesday night?
Well, that pop he got when he came out was crazy. The whole place just lit up for him. So not the best time when you're a heel and the place just explodes for you, but that's AEW's problem. It's good for us. I liked the match. It was what it was. It was nothing special, but it was a good kind of first match, get the juices flowing, type of match, and set up the big stuff. So I had no problem with it. Thought the match wasn't too long. It told a short little story, and it was good. So, and the Super Click announcement was great. Yep. So
now it's like a preseason game. Now we're going to go into regular season for Adam Cole, I think. Working with the Young Bucks, and who knows what kind of triple teaming up moves they can do. So we'll see. Because I think the Dynamite Grand Slam, I think they'll really want to just let it all hang out because they really want to hit big in New York City in Arthur Ashe Stadium, where they're really expecting a huge crowd. So MJF talked up, trying to bring up Brian Pillman Sr. I couldn't believe, Greg, when he looked down at the ring and was like, "Oh, sorry, you're down there." And I was like, "Oh man, if you get cringy, I know it's good, but at the same time, they're letting that, like we saw last night with Ruby Riott and Britt Baker. I mean, they're truly letting guys and girls, speak their truth, as they say. So we're going to get a match between MJF and Brian Pillman Jr. I think that'll be a good test for Brian Pillman Jr. Really working with the top tier talent. And we saw a little bit of the tease. Wardlow wasn't necessarily there to help, fend off Brian Pillman Jr. So we're getting that slow burning. I just keep saying, what is that going to mean for Pinnacle as a whole? Because once MJF gets away from the Pinnacle, they're kind of done. So, and, I keep bringing up Sean Spears because it feels like every time he doesn't work by himself, it feels like. He needs something to kind of latch on to. Maybe Tyler Breeze is available and he could team up with him. So they're kind of, friends outside the ring. But Greg, what about the segment of MJF speaking to Brian Pillman Sr. in hell from hell?
I love this segment for a whole different reason. And it's kind of a selfish reason, but I told you, I did stand-up comedy for a while in my 20s. And the bug never went away. And so I've done random shows here and there. And it was maybe a year after Michael Jackson passed away that I did the same joke where
oh my goodness, no way.
Yes, I did. I was like, I never been a Michael Jackson fan. I was
and how did the crowd react to that?
Oh, they popped, man. They popped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got both. I got some cheers and I got some boos.
Okay, and I was just saying that you'd have to get a little bit of pushback, right? I mean,
Oh yeah,
People still
they
love
all
Michael
popped.
Jackson.
It was
Like
it was a
it could.
great it
Go
was a
ahead.
great 50-50 pop. It was
Yeah.
it was John. Let's go see it as Cena sucks kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it got everybody going because I did the same thing. I was talking about um, that the day after it happened, we heard on the radio Michael Jackson songs for a week, and so I'm like looking out, my arms up, like thanks a lot, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, and then I looked at oh thanks a lot, and that popped the whole audience. So I'm like, that's my joke, man. But so it was cool to see, that same thing come to light. So I popped for that when I saw it. Um, so that was my selfish little moment there because that's my joke, and I can't wait to try it again. But anyway,
We'll find something new.
yeah, the segment about Pillman and building it up. This is what NXT should be doing. How you build up a new character. You use a guy who's established, who's made, and he's going to get the best of the new guy for a while until you're going to have that moment where he has his aha moment, and they're going to have that classic. And that's what's going to put that guy over the top. It's going to put him on the level of the veteran guy. And we're going to appreciate him more. We're going to give him respect. We're going to be into his matches from there because we see, okay, this guy can go now. And so I'm kind of the same way. They're pushing him, in the beginning. That's Brian Pillman's son. Like, okay, there's this novelty. And, he's still very green. You can tell he's still, trying too hard to look just like his dad, do the same moveset as his dad and everything. You can be different and still be your father's son,
Yes.
And I think they're finally doing this, giving him more of an edge.
Like separating him from there.
Right. And by putting him against the top heel in the company, you can tell they believe in him. And it's setting up what should be a great match.
Here's my
go
ahead. Sorry.
I still expect him to lose in New York, but have such a great match that it changes our minds about him. That okay, this guy can hang with MJF, and who knows, next time they face each other, he may get the win. So it's a great setup, and it's the slow burn, like you said, that they should be getting when they're pushing, the younger talent who are still green, still learning their way, but they're getting close.
I was going to bring up, do we think, since the bigger story is Wardlow and MJF, should they just pull the trigger on that next week where Wardlow accidentally cost MJF the match, and now we're really seeing that move in motion? Or do you think we still want to wait a little bit on that?
Yeah, that would make sense that either Wardlow directly or indirectly causes MJF to lose the match. Mm-hmm. And that way, Pillman gets his win. MJF is incensed that it's Wardlow's fault that he lost the match. And now you've already laid the foundation for the Wardlow MJF feud. And you can split him off. So I think that would be a great way to, get all pieces moving forward. You get Pillman some steam, and you made Wardlow, face now just by default for having to fight MJF, and MJF stays, a top guy because, he lost by some interference.
Or even if MJF picks up the win, maybe in no thanks to Wardlow. Maybe Wardlow tries to help him. It backfires, but he gets the win anyway. So you have MJF saying, no thanks to you, and then we get that moving. So, because I feel like MJF could eat a loss to Pillman, but I don't think AEW is going to pull that trigger. Because that'd be a pretty good, and I think that would help Pillman because I feel like they want to get Pillman to the next tier. You know, like he's been on, you know, with Griff Garrison, the Varsity Blondes. I think, you know, maybe the TNT title tier, which even Miro's starting to put that at another level with some of his, you know, work. But, you know, that next level for that. So Dante Martin and Matt Seidel were a tag team for whatever reason. FTR picks up the win, Greg, and that's all we really care about because I just want to make sure FTR could keep wrestling because it really looked like, you know, we weren't going to see them again. And I know his arm is still heavily taped up. Now I forget which one, but here's the bigger story, Greg. Malachi Black was in the ring talking. How about Rosario Dawson kind of stepping up? I didn't know she was even going to be in the crowd. And then Cody Rhodes come back because we kept saying Cody Rhodes need to come back. So, Greg, does Malachi Black pick up the win over Cody Rhodes, or does Cody Rhodes do the usual thing where he has to knock out a heel? Because that's what it feels like it should go. Oh, and what about the bumps by Rosario? Like, you know, getting on the back of Malachi Black and looking like she could hold her own. I don't know if she needed Cody down there helping out.
Yeah.
She looked like she could hold her own. And a lot of dudes were saying they want to go with her. And then she does not go for the dudes in sexual orientation. So that was kind of funny to see on Twitter as well. But anyways, or she might go both. I don't know. But it sounds like currently she's dating a woman. So sorry, guys, you don't have a chance. Not that you had a chance. But
right.
Anyways, Malachi Black, Cody Rhodes, Dynamite Grand Slam. Who picks up the win there, Greg?
I think it's still Malachi.
Okay.
I could see, you know, some big hope spots with, you know, people come down to stem some, you know, outside interference or some type of shenanigan happening where, you know, maybe he's about to do something dashly and another one of the Rose clan pops up.
Or could we get a House of Black member?
That would be cool.
I think we need to start doing that because he keeps mentioning House of Black. I mean, everybody else is in a faction in AEW, Greg. So why not give him some guys? You know, maybe Buddy Murphy. Maybe he could. He's ready to debut. We can revisit Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy all over again. But anyways,
yeah, I still see Black win. I think they're going to have a much better match than the 5-minute squash that Black had the first time. But I expect them to, you know, ramp up the brutality a little bit. But, you know, Cody gets his shots in, and he starts taking when Black starts taking liberties with Cody at the end of the match, you know, then somebody's going to come down and get the save, and that would be a cool place for, you know, the House of Black to emerge and, you know, maybe get some Dark Order guys or maybe another sinister character who we haven't seen yet to pop up and join his side.
Braun?
But maybe.
Bray?
I think Bray would be interesting.
Bray and Malachi?
But it sounds like Bray is going to be doing this, maybe something even more sinister than a Fiend coming back. So I don't know if he could have fit into Black's realm. But it's setting up because you can't have one guy go and dismantle the whole
Rhodes family.
Rhodes clan, even though he's done a great job of it so far.
I mean, he's pretty much taking them out. He's pretty much taking out everybody anyway. I mean, Lee Johnson hasn't been back on TV. Dustin Rhodes hasn't been around. You know, I can't think of any other guys. Is there other members of the night? It felt like the Nightmare family was huge, and now they're like nothing. So,
right.
All right, Greg, let's get into this. Dan Lambert. I just can't get these. I don't know, Greg. Like, I feel like because I keep thinking Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky are fine without, and like now we don't even hear from them. Like they have a voice, and we know they could talk. We know they could work in the ring. It's almost like you've neutered them. Like, have they lost all steam because of this? I mean, the AEW must have some deal with what do you call them? America's Top Team? Is that what they're called? Like his camp?
Yeah.
Are we going to get any of those UFC guys actually in the ring? Because why do they keep showing up if they're just there to stand behind the voice, Dan Lambert? Because it just feels like what is the big picture here? And I'm not seeing any picture, honestly, other than him yelling into a mic. It's like Jericho on Rampage, and I have to turn down my TV because Jericho's yelling, and now you have Lambert yelling, and I get it because he's a heel, but I need to see what the direct. Yeah, I just don't even think there's a direction because now you're throwing Jericho and Hager, which I could see because Hager has mixed martial MMA background, UFC background. Does Hager fall in line with them? Maybe.
No, I don't.
Jericho.
I think
help me out, Greg, because I'm lost.
It's confusing to me too because
okay, good, because I don't want to think I'm like putting it down, but I also don't see what the point of it is.
Yeah, I'm a huge MMA guy, and so I get the Dan Lambert's trying to be the old school heel manager, kind of in the vein of Jim Cornette, loud mouth. Everybody wants to punch him in the face because he won't shut up. I don't know if they're trying to appeal to
UFC
mixed martial art fans, because guys like me who are MMA guys are going to know who's standing in the ring with him. But if you're just a wrestling fan who hasn't watched a UFC or Bellator or any of the other organizations that are going on, you're not going to know who those guys are. So Excalibur mentioned their names once while they're standing there. You're not going to know who was who.
Like the two women are pretty big stars, right? But what's the point of the two women being there? They didn't wrestle. They didn't even take any bumps. They just stood there. Because I've heard Paige Van Zandt. I've heard that name all over the, Twitter, because she's a pretty big name. And she was talking about maybe going to AEW or to WWE, and now obviously not. So I don't know who the other woman was, though. They had another woman there, right? Kayla Harrison.
Kayla Harrison, yeah. She is a boss. She is probably the second greatest women's fighter in the game right now. So Dan Lambert has one of the top teams, no pun intended, of mixed martial arts fighters in the world. Not the U.S., in the world. Loaded with champions, future champions. Kayla Harrison hasn't even scratched the surface of how good she's going to be. And then Bobby Lashley trained with America's Top Team. A lot of guys Gino Santos, who was in the ring, had multiple UFC runs with the title. Andrei Arlovski, I think, was in there. He had a couple. He was a beast way back in the day.
Do you think they want to make the move to wrestling? Like, are they still kind of in the prime of their UFC fighting careers?
No, they're way past their prime. They're cruising on name recognition now.
But the Kayla woman, is she still younger?
Yeah, she's in her 20s, and she's either late 20s, early 30s.
But then again, maybe she wants to take lighter bumps on her, maybe do some lighter bumps on the body.
No, I think her contract's up at the end of the year. She's with an indie fighting league, professional fighters league. And she is the next big thing. She is the Brock Lesnar of women's MMA. and
Okay.
she is waiting to go to one of the big dogs, either
Okay.
UFC or Bellator, and she's immediately going to end up fighting for a championship
Okay.
because she's that dominant. And she's finally going to be done with her contract at the end of the year. We're going to find out what's going to happen with her. So I don't know if they're trying to just do cross promotion to get more eyes from the MMA world. I think it's a little pointless. It's the other way around because Arlovsky and Dos Santos and the other guys who were in the ring with him have been cut by UFC or their promotions, and because they're over the hill, their best days are way behind them, and like I said, they're just cruising on name recognition now. So it has to be they're trying to get some more eyes from the MMA universe on them. So using Dan Lambert's a good way to go, especially if he's so into it that he wants to take on that role of old school
Yeah.
manager heel. And
Do you think we could see Jake Hager turn on Jericho though, because he has those ties with MMA, or would that? Because we haven't really seen the inner circle as a whole anyway. Now that you have Sammy Guevara kind of doing his thing, you have Jericho doing, time to time doing his thing. Proud and Powerful, they haven't been mentioned with Inner Circle anymore. So I kind of wonder if this might be a heel, because obviously Jake Hager's better as a heel.
Yeah.
And then if Hager could be the muscle for Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, that'd be something different for them. Mm-hmm. And they could talk for him, because the less I hear Jake Hager talk, I'm fine. Like, Jake Hager does not need to talk. But anyways, it's not the list thing. It just, he sucks at talking. I mean, there's, some guys are good at it, some guys aren't.
It would make sense, and it would finally give us some clarity with why Dan Lambert is there with his goon squad to begin with. Because those guys that are standing in the ring with him, Arlovsky and Dos Santos and all those guys, Kayla Harrison, Page, they're not going to become wrestlers. They are, half of them don't speak or barely speak English as a second language, and they wouldn't get over it all anyway. So they're not trying to become wrestlers. They're just there to show, look who we are, and try to be intimidating. So Hager joining them just because that is Dan Lambert, and that is the group that that kind of is a show of what he can do. His gym is loaded with championships that it could be an angle. You come with me, I'll get you MMA championships, because as far as I know, Hager is not retired from Bellator. He's still fighting.
That's what I was wondering too. Like, is Hager, he's fought a handful of matches, right?
Yeah, he's had 3 or 4 professional fights, and he's still undefeated right now.
Okay.
So, and he hasn't had a fight this year. I think he had one late last year. And so he's still in the up and coming category, but he's still fighting. So going over to American Top Team would be a great move for him. So I can see that angle, and then him and Jericho
feuding,
get into a feud too. So,
and then you don't necessarily need all those UFC names in the ring, because you would have Hager there as kind of that. I don't know, because like you said, Greg, they're just in the ring, like they're not doing anything. Like, I mean, more power to them. Hey, if I could get on TV and just stand in the ring, I'll take $5 or whatever you got for me. Like,
right.
If I don't have to talk, I don't have to do anything. I just stand there, and I stand in the middle of. Oh, okay. Yeah. How about Jade Cargill defeated Layla Hirsch, and then CM Punk got taken out by Team Taz. We're going to see CM Punk make his in-ring debut as far as TV shows at Rampage against Will Hobbs. How are we looking forward to that, Greg?
It's going to be an interesting match.
Because Hook will be the last boss, right?
Yeah.
He'll be
He's the final boss.
Then Hook.
It's a good setup. I think there's going to be a DQ finish probably. Once they see that Punk's about to take out Hobbs, that the whole crew comes in and jumps him again. So I definitely see a DQ finish after maybe a 10-minute match of Hobbs kind of throwing around Punk, but Punk firing up, coming back, and a little back and forth, and just as he gets that final surge to you set up that GTS, then Hook and Starks and everybody comes in and dog piles him, and we see who the next Punk ally is, because he can't take on the whole team by himself.
That's what's interesting. Like, who can you give Punk to even the odds with? I mean, because we already kind of have Darby and Sting busy with FTR next week. Like, that seems to be where you would have went. So yeah, I'll be interested to see if they do that, or if they just give Punk the win. I mean, it wants it's Punk's return to TV matches. I mean, do you give him a lot? I guess a DQ sets up other stuff, but yeah, I'll be interested to see kind of how he goes in the ring. Speaking of FTR and Sting and Darby Allin, we had Darby Allin defeat Shawn Spears. That's all we need to say about that, because FTR came down and beat him up, and that sets up FTR versus Sting and Darby Allin next week at Grand Slam. You looking forward to that match, Greg?
Not really.
I know it doesn't feel like this Pinnacle stuff and Darby Allin and Sting has anything behind it.
Yeah, I don't want to see 60-year-old Sting wrestling. It takes away from the believability of the whole thing for me. Am I supposed to believe that 60-year-old Sting still hits as hard as 25-year-old Sting? No, it just takes some steam off of it for me. And I love FTR, I love Darby, but Sting kind of hurts
Brings
the whole credibility of the match. Yeah.
Yeah. Because FTR is going to sell the hell out of whatever Sting does. Like, they're going to do like Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan at whatever SummerSlam that was, when Michaels just did everything over the top on purpose. I think FTR will do it more lightheartedly, but FTR is going to sell the hell out of the Stinger Splash, sell the Scorpion Deathlock, and that's all we're going to write. So we'll also see Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson. I knew I would do it once. Bryan Danielson, whatever, but Brian Bella. My soul. Anyways, non-title match. So does Bryan Danielson pick up the win, Greg, so that he could get official title match down the road, or will other shenanigans be happening next week in Arthur Ashe Stadium?
Yeah, I see more shenanigans happening. I definitely think that as now you got me ready to say it, Danielson is about to get the pin. Maybe Callis does something, or one of the Stooges does something, but somebody's going to get involved, and it's not going to be a clean finish. And maybe they again get in there, jump him, and set up something for later.
And do we see like the Bryan Danielson that we think we're going to see, or do we almost see like a preseason, kind of like Adam Cole, like you felt like you're just getting those kind of cobwebs off? Do you think I kind of feel like we'll get it all out? I think Bryan Danielson wants to just show off right away and 100%. And so I'll be interested to see, does he pull anything different, that he hasn't pulled out in a while against Kenny Omega? Is that how you're looking at it as well, Greg?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Okay. I'm feeling that, there's probably a lot that he wanted to do that he wasn't able to do with WWE.
Like wrestling-wise.
Right. And I expect it to be him to be even better. As much love as he's getting, the American Dragon and going back to the roots and everything. I expect a 5-star match, especially with the Best Bot machine in there, and an easy contender for match of the year with these two. So
Okay.
I have high expectations for this match. Unlike,
But we know there's going to be a lot of shenanigans as well.
Yeah.
So you wonder how that will balance things out. And then finally, Eddie Kingston, John Moxley defeated 2.0 because, Greg, we're going to get Suzuki and Archer going against Moxley and Kingston. Is it? I can't remember if this is Dynamite or Rampage. It's going to happen at Dynamite, I think. And it's going to be a death match, I believe, or Texas death match. So, did I miss that, or am I misremembering something?
I don't remember that part of it being a special match.
But either way,
I
we're
remember
against Suzuki and Archer against Moxley and Kingston. And it's going to be a freaking barn burner. Right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
It should be, given they're doing a good job of giving us the background with Suzuki and Archer, and how ruthless and violent they were. So they got the perfect foils on the other side of the ring for them. So I expect a good bloody brawl between these two.
Yeah, and maybe I'm dreamt it, but we'll have to see if they added any stipulation to that. It'll have the Extreme Rules stipulation that we haven't got for Extreme Rules yet, probably.
Right.
So, all right, let's do one more commercial break for Rogue Energy, and then we'll talk about what happened last night on Rampage and what happened on SmackDown, and call it a day. So thanks, of course, for watching, and let's do some Rogue Energy talk right now. Alrighty, so we kicked off last night's Friday Night SmackDown with, of course, the Tribal Chief himself, Roman Reigns. The white, Greg. I'm usually not a white T-shirt guy. The white looks so much better than the black on that Bloodline T-shirt. Thumbs up, thumbs down on it for you.
Yep, I like that T-shirt.
Yeah.
I might even buy one. Because
there you go.
It looks so cool.
Are you gonna fringe it up like the Usos did? Can you pull off that look?
I don't know if I can pull that look off now.
I don't know if anybody but the Usos could maybe pull off that look. But then we have Big E come out there rocking his. I kept looking, Greg, and I'm like, that looks like an album cover. And then finally, it kind of came across saying it was a tribute to the Fugees album with that. I don't know what album there is called, but the Fugees album of the 90s, whatever album they had. I think it had Ready or Not on there and whatever big hit they had. So anyways, that was a really good gear. I love the gear for Big E last night, I thought.
Yeah, totally.
Then he came out with Finn Balor comes out there. So it is going to say that they're having an Extreme Rules match for Finn Balor, the Demon, and Roman Reigns, which can kind of even the odds on what the Demon will do. So, and then, Greg, we were right into it. Finn Balor, Big E looked really good together. I love the double finish moves at the end to defeat the Usos. Once again, the Usos cannot pick up wins that often, it feels like, but they're still tag team champions, so there you go. But Greg, how about the match? I thought it was a really solid effort, a good opener match.
Yeah, it was. I had low expectations beginning with. It's throwing two guys together who have nothing to do with each other,
Yeah.
and put them against one of the best tag teams in WWE history. So I have, much love for the Usos, but it turned out to be a good match.
And we'll get the popcorn ready match on Monday night between
Right.
the Bloodline and the New Day, which I think, like I said, that's going to be a really fun. I think they're going to pull out all the stops for that. So,
Yeah.
And I thought Finn looked fine. I mean, I thought he'd come out. I didn't think he'd necessarily come out as a demon, but he did do that segment where he transformed into the demon. So they used the good old trickery of the debut of the camera and all that. Rick Boogs defeated Robert Roode, but the big story, Greg, is Apollo Crews decided to take out Nakamura. A couple hard hits for Nakamura, especially the one that they slid him almost into the table and then challenges to a match. Do we think we see this at Extreme Rules, or do we think we see this like on a Friday Night SmackDown?
It feels like a SmackDown match.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
We've already seen them on a bigger stage, and
Yeah.
Nakamura won. So it's a good SmackDown match. I don't know if main event, but lead the second hour or something like that, and further the storyline there. He's never had his rematch, so
Given the
it
rematch,
makes sense to put it right there. Yeah.
Happy Corbin took out Kevin Owens. I do think we might get an Extreme Rules match out of this, just because why not put them on there? I don't know if you'll add any stipulation, but we did get that. Here's where I want to go to, though, Seth. Or I started to say Seth Rollins, Greg, because that's where I want to go. I thought a really good promo by Seth Rollins in the silver suit, whatever that thing.
Holy cow!
Once again, only Seth Rollins can pull off whatever he's wearing, because man, he needed the Jericho fancy hat from the Festival of Friendship deal. But I love that he called out Beth Phoenix, because I think that means Beth will come out maybe in a couple weeks to kind of confront Seth. And that's where I want to see if she eats a curb stomp or not, or a pedigree, or she's going to eat something of Seth, because that will. Now they're saying Edge could be off TV for a few months. I don't know if that's TV speak or if that's legit, but I think Beth Phoenix shows her face soon. Greg, what about you?
Yeah, I agree that it's inevitable when you have his wife so close by, and I noticed on NXT they asked her, how Edge is doing. So it's funny they'll acknowledge a WWE storyline on NXT, but
imagine that, Greg.
NXT.
We've already brought that up. How many times, Oh,
right?
Did you know Karrion Kross used to wrestle in NXT?
He did? What?
Yeah, I know. All right. Anyways.
So, but yeah, it makes sense that Seth going even more diabolical is going to look, I'm about to go and injure in front of your family, but isn't your wife working tomorrow night or something like that? And he ends up on NXT, and
that would
maybe brings Beth with him. Oh yeah, maybe he brings Beth with or Becky with him, and that's the impetus for an even angrier, more riled up Edge to come back and then finally have their big final confrontation.
Yep, the final one.
It totally makes sense that they do that, and Beth gets into the storyline sooner than later.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Seth has gone down to NXT before. Remember, with the feud with Triple H. So I think it'd be even better, like confronting her at work type deal. Like that would give him that extra bit of just creepiness that he wants. So Tony Storm, Greg, did you know Tony Storm was a SmackDown superstar?
No kid. She was.
She was rocking the HBK inspired gear, wasn't she? Dolph Ziggler's probably jealous of her gear. So they defeat Zelina Vega. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I say the last time I saw her, I think she was getting hit on by another superstar. That's what they think of her. Great. Okay. That was worth bringing her up for.
She got at least out there. Now Liv Morgan took out the most beautiful woman in the world by almost breaking her nose, which is, now we're doing Mandy Rose. Like I said, they must have a black mask stock because we're going to have to give it to Carmella. But and Greg, Zelina Vega still winless, I believe, in her SmackDown time that she's been on TV. I mean, at least she's on. Like, it feels like the crowd is still buying into her, though. Like, that's what's crazy. Like, it's like you want to get behind Zelina, good or bad, and she's not doing it. Like, she's not winning. But she did have that little backstage segment where she actually got to talk. I don't know what they can. I kind of hope they do some stipulation to this match for Liv and Carmella, but I don't know what you can call it. Whoever breaks your nose wins, but something like that. But yeah. What about the feud, Greg, between Liv Morgan and Carmella? I mean, it's at least something for Liv Morgan, right?
Yeah, it's kind of useless. I don't know what they're doing right there. I get that they need to, put some more spotlight on some of the other ladies instead of just the top 2-3 women on each brand. But some more character development, some more backstory between them would make more sense. And they're just throwing them out with nothing. And so, we don't care about it. And, what does Zelina have to do with anything? She's just the mouth that roared.
Do you think she's regretting re-signing yet?
I'm thinking she's getting there. Maybe she can do the female Kurt Hawkins gimmick where she starts taking count of all of her losses. So, yeah, I have no idea why, especially like we said, they released the Iconics to bring her in. So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And that, if she knows how, and I get she doesn't want to be associated probably in ring with Malachi Black so he could do his own thing. But, and I'm sure she's supportive of him. You just have to wonder. I wonder what kind of deal she signed. Like, can you imagine if it's like a 2 or 3 year deal? And maybe if that's the case, maybe if it's a longer deal, then she could get her shine early next year or, sometime. But, yeah, it's just a weird way of booking her. It's almost like you're punishing her for coming back, like for re-signing with you. Like, not picking up any, but like I said, they're still giving her mic time. They're giving her screen time. And, she's still kind of over. So, Sami Zayn. Go ahead.
She was best when she got to be a mouthpiece for Andrade.
Yes.
And that should be her role. Unlike what we've been hearing that they wanted Adam Cole to do for Keith Lee. Let her be a mouthpiece for somebody, and then she could be like a little X factor outside who gets involved and is
if she needs to.
Is sneaky and her guy or her girl is winning because of her underhandedness. That's her role. That's what she should be doing because
I can get into that. Yeah. And that's because she was so strong at it. I mean, look what she did for Andrade on NXT. Like, if she doesn't hook up, I started to say hook up with him. If she doesn't get brought in as his mouthpiece, does Andrade do anything in NXT? Because he was on he was winning, but he wasn't believable in any regard until she I think she helped boost his confidence because I think he was just on an island on his own there for a little bit. So, Sami Zayn defeated Dominic Mysterio. Greg, I really thought this would be the final straw between Dominic and Rey. We still haven't seen that yet, but we got to get to that point. And the sooner the better because I think we really need to see what Dominic can do on his own.
Yeah, I agree. And no more matches against Sami Zayn. I think 3 is enough.
It told the story that he's lost.
Right. Get him somebody else, but let's move on with the story.
I mean, ours now is Ray going to beat Sammy to prove that he knows what to do.
It would make sense.
Unfortunately.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard because they're not really giving us anything except from, there's a crack and,
it's a small crack. We haven't opened the foundation yet. Yeah, we're just slowly it's like you got a little hammer and you're just like almost getting a nail in it. You're not taking the sledgehammer to it yet. But
right.
By the way, Greg, I'm looking at this picture of Becky Lynch. Wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall for Becky and Seth's Amazon history or their fashion history, search history? Because these sunglasses she's rocking. Now the Kill Bill outfit, I love when she's in the Kill Bill. That look for her, the yellow, that really stands out. But I can only imagine, I bet they just make each other pop, on Amazon, oh, look what I'm going to wear tomorrow. And then Becky's like, nope, I got you beat with these sunglasses because she looks like she belongs in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when they wore they had all the weird sunglasses happening. So Kane showed up. Good old Mayor Glenn decided to make his name known. Who would have thought Greg would see Kane back on TV, this soon? And I didn't even know Bianca was from Knoxville. She was given the key to the city, Hall of Fame, into her high school. Really cool stuff. I didn't even know she went to Tennessee, where she was a big star, so big track star. Ultimately, this is Becky taking out Bianca Belair because whenever you're in her hometown, you have to lose and look bad.
Yep.
So that's what this segment did, Greg.
Yep.
Any thoughts on the final segment of SmackDown?
Well, Bianca in Knoxville is definitely not Britt Baker in Pittsburgh, is it?
No, that crowd was into it, but they weren't. Well, we just didn't even know, too. Britt Baker made, Pittsburgh known. Punk made. I had no clue she was from Knoxville until that day. They're like, oh, yeah, by the way, she went to her hometown.
Yeah,
you would need to build that up a little bit. You should have done the past couple of weeks. Bianca's going to be home pretty soon.
Yeah, it would have made sense, and that's what they did with Britt, and look how that turned out. And you had to turn down the volume on your TV when she came out because the pop was that big. And so I was waiting to see what kind of reaction she was going to get when she finally came out. She got a decent reaction, but it was nowhere near a Britt Baker level.
I mean, Becky might as well got the same pop that she did.
Right.
I mean,
and so you knew what was going to happen. In her hometown, she's going to get disrespected and she's going to get beat up. She had her moment. Hurricane and get the key and all that. So she got the feel good moment before Becky dropped her. So just setting the table for their match at Extreme Rules. So,
and I think I would have reversed the segments. I think I would have had the homecoming at the beginning. Maybe that would have been the bigger pop because it's her coming out, Bianca. And plus with how Finn Balor and Big E, like you said, were kind of just thrown together, I think that goes at the end. So you set that up for Monday night. The New Day is going to go against. So I didn't like the placement because you kept waiting for something else to happen. You had Becky get the upper hand, and that was and there was still a couple minutes left. So I was like, okay, that's it. Call out Kane. I mean, it's Becky. Why not? So I would have probably reversed the segments. I think that would have been a better use of the segments there. But, that's just and nitpicky. So, and we went to Rampage. right afterwards. And then next week, Greg, we got 2 hours of Rampage. So I don't know. What are the odds? What are your odds on me making it through 2 hour Rampage next week, Greg? Is it over 50% or under?
Ooh. Shoot, getting your week, probably under.
Here's the thing, too. If I am sitting up, I'll make it. As soon as I lay down, though, and if I turn off my lights and I just have the TV on, yeah, I'm done. Like, I don't know about you, but that's, yeah. Like, I will be gone before – I'd probably be gone before the commercial break or something like that. Like, I'm bad with movies. I do that. I wake up in the middle of a movie, and I'm like, oh, crap, what just happened? And I'm like, well, time to watch The Office again because I didn't know what happened in this movie. Because I did that last night I was watching some movie in the middle of the day. But anyway, so Lucha Bros defeated, Butcher and Blade. The Bunny defeated Anna Jay. Miro defeated Fuego de Sol. Fuego de Sol has no car, Greg. How sad do we feel that Fuego de Sol has no car?
I think he still has the car because
I think he still does too because Miro left.
He shoved the keys down his throat. And
Miro left the keys in the ring.
So I believe Fuego's going to get to keep his car. I like that match though. That was a great match.
Yeah.
I'll take that match over over any match on SmackDown yesterday. That was a good match. Fuego really bought it. The back and forth of that match was really good. The fact that Fuego probably controlled 60% of the match was a nice touch. But him just out-quicking Miro and Miro looking incredulous. It was
Guevara beat Miro for the title down the road.
That's really interesting. I'm liking that matchup a whole lot more than
I kind of feel like
anybody
it's
else.
time. Like I know Miro's. It's not been the longest reign, but they've already said he's been the most successful at defending it. So you've already kind of built that up.
Yeah.
And, while it's not time-wise, it's not been – it still feels like Miro won it just like a couple months ago. It doesn't – and it might have been. Like it does – sorry, go ahead.
It's at 128 days, so it's been a little over 4 months. But just a good quarter of the year, so it's a good reign.
And he's defended it 7-8 times in that time frame. So is Sammy our guy?
A third of the year, 33% of the year.
Yeah.
Sammy, I can definitely see it more than anybody else he's faced so far. Sammy has the athleticism, he has the size, because the guys that Miro's been going against have been pretty undersized compared to him. Aside from, I was trying to think who the biggest guy is.
I feel like we're going to pull that off on a Dynamite.
Yeah.
I feel like we'll have the upset happen. And here's my bigger thing, Greg. I was so hoping that Miro would have got – this is all fantasy booking. Miro goes to the car, and guess who's waiting right there for him? Lana. And I was like, come on, do it. You're right there. Like, he has his car. They already talked about having sex in the tank. I mean, he's already praising her. Right? Like, you just have Lana, show up by the car. Now, obviously not in the car because she went out the keys. But I was like, come on, do it. And then they just – and the Sammy Guevara got a nice pop because he's defending his best friend. And getting over Miro is the bigger story. So I can actually see Sammy winning sooner rather than later. Maybe in the next couple of weeks. I mean, I think it's time.
Sammy is definitely a guy I think can beat Miro because that's the whole story is who can beat him. And they've gone far enough to expose the chink in his armor. His neck, like I said, I don't know where that came from with the whole neck issue, but it doesn't matter because they've added that to the storyline. We are aware of it. So when a match or a move that, impacts that comes out, at least subconsciously, if not consciously, we're thinking about it, to planting the seed. That's the way you do it. So
unless somebody comes out to help Miro win, maybe a certain blonde bombshell that used to have a Russian accent, Craig. I'm going to talk this into existence. Lana will appear on Dynamite before the end of the year. If God is up there, I don't know. If God's down there, wherever he's at.
Well, God's up there and Lana's down there. So according to me,
Lana's probably stuck down there for the sex in the tank. God did not like them having sex in that tank. But anyways, yeah. So I didn't really. I mean, the bunny and the bunny match was, we got the brass knucks involved again, and Anna Jay ends up getting a win over the bunny. Tay Conti comes out there, and we're just still going that. Lucha Bros, I thought a good first defensive, title defense. Any thoughts on that match, Greg? That's kind of what Rampage was. And Ricky Starks on commentary, which, I didn't really care for Ricky Starks in that much commentary.
Yeah, I didn't either. But he's one of the the young guns, the up and comers.
I like that they put different voices too. I think every week you put somebody who maybe needs some, not necessarily screen time, but just time out there. Next week bring out somebody else. Bring out a woman. Like a super, female superstar that you need to get some air time with. So, but he was kind of, and like I said, Jericho. And Jericho always brings it up. Oh, I'm just so into. Come on, man. Like, how commentary works. You don't need to yell every single, oh my God, a clothesline. Like, no, we get it. The big,
he knows.
He knows. Well, he's doing it now on purpose. You got to think. Like, now he's just like, fuck it, or F it. Sorry. I don't know if we're supposed to say that on this, but I did. Now he's probably just thinking, I'm just going to do it because I know that the internet hates it. So I'm just going to do it. Because it's Jericho.
I think that actually the best, maybe not the best part of it, but one of the top moments of the night was not even the match, the interview segment with Britt Baker and Ruby.
Yes.
Sorry,
I didn't even bring that up.
We missed that. So I can't let get away with not mentioning that because holy cow.
I appreciate it.
Shots fired.
Yeah, every shot was fired.
All the shots were fired right there. They gave Ruby the better lines, but holy cow, it was so good.
But they were able to deliver it right when they needed to. There wasn't any, felt like there was no downtime between the two.
Right.
So
it was so good. I was not expecting much after seeing what Ruby was doing for promos in WWE, but seeing without the shackles that, having to memorize the script before you go through Gorilla makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Because you could tell she was going to think her words out, when Britt was speaking. You could really see that creative flow happening between the two. So
anybody who hasn't seen it, go and watch that segment. I'm sure
I was almost waiting for Adam Cole to come out there when they said, "Oh yeah, you're just having sex with somebody in the back," and I was like, "Oh, Adam Cole's going to come out because you don't talk to his girl like that."
Right.
I mean, Tony Schiavone is going to eat a super kick one of these days. So,
for sure. But yeah, how she compared it to WWE and being, a pretty face begging some guy in the back. Like, wow, okay, yep. And they just gave it to each other. Mostly the old West to take the gloves off and smack the other guy across the face with him. It kind of felt like that. What a duel! Here we go.
I want to see what shenanigans they will do to give Ruby still looking good, because I can't foresee them dropping the title yet. I still am calling Jade. I think Jade is our next women's champion. I think they're slowly building her up, but I think putting the title on her is where they want to go.
I think so too, but not anytime soon.
No,
because
maybe Double or Nothing of May, I think.
Yeah, that would make
that's
more
kind
sense.
of your big WrestleMania-esque, kind of your big marquee show there.
Yeah. And notice they're not mentioning Jade as a championship challenger
Yes.
in any sense.
And is
she's
she
right
even
there
in the
with
rankings? Which is funny. Like, did they ever mention her in the rankings?
no, they don't. So they just have her going against the Red
There you go.
Velvets and the Layla Hirsch's of the world.
Oh, and
And
then she looks so her and that visual of her against Layla was just like, that just it was like, okay, just kick her and be done with it. Like this is like a gnat flying at you, just swat it away.
it was a
But
good
yeah,
match, though. It was a
yeah,
good match. If Nikki Ash wrestled right that, I would be interested.
yeah.
Layla Hirsch, for her size, that match that those two had was better
She's
than
built.
any women's match that WWE's throwing out there.
Yeah.
So you could actually buy it. It was good match. I was impressed with that match. So,
But yeah,
I
we'll
wish,
see. What do you think, Greg? Will Jamie, Herder, and Rebel just cost Ruby the match? Like, will Ruby eat a clean finish, or will there be like a shenanigans involved?
um, it is a title match.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Because they're saying
she'll
because she won the women's battle royal, so it's automatic
yeah
title shot.
she'll get bailed out by Rebel or Hager once she hits the kick.
Yeah.
So I'm hesitant to say it because we've already booked that finish for the other title matches. So something's got to give somewhere. But I don't see it happening with the Danielson and Omega match. And we've also booked that finish for
I think Brian's going to beat Kenny Omega, honestly. I think because it's non-title, so I think you could have Brian beat him and still lose the title match.
we could
Unless you're ready to pull the title off Kenny Omega and you give Daniel Bryan, and then maybe Hangman Page beats Daniel Bryan down the road, but because that's where I think we got to see where Hangman's at in all this, because Hangman was so I know, and I keep harping on him, but he was so primed for that, and they've taken all, and he asked for it. He needed the time away, and that's fine. That's your if you can get it. But man, what timing, So, anyways, anything else, Greg, from the week that was in wrestling wise that you think we missed or you want to bring up, or any final shots that you'd like to take?
Very few. Like I said, anybody who hasn't seen that Britt Baker Ruby Riott promo from last night, get on YouTube and watch it because it is worth it. Best 5
And
minutes.
Britt put it on her Instagram or her Twitter. So if you find Britt Baker on Twitter, it's all 7 minutes. It's like it's the whole segment on there.
Yeah, it is money. So that, and as soon as we're done, I'm going to get online and go and check on the Raw from Raleigh, because I might just have to make the roadie and go see that.
Get you a ticket,
especially knowing what the main event is going to be now. That
should be the main event, right? I can't imagine anything else main eventing,
right?
Unless Lashley wrecks it.
They want to give me something bigger than that. Then by all means,
yeah.
But
Goldberg may be back.
Oh God!
I wonder if we revisit. Well, now that we have Goldberg, now that we have Lashley without the title, I guess I'm more okay with Goldberg and Lashley going at it. Because, like we said, Goldberg won his soul, and then of course they did announce Lesnar and Reigns for Crown Jewel
Arabia. So,
for the Universal Championship right now. So, which we all expected. But still so crazy. And it said start at 1. So, yeah, I probably won't even be able to catch half of the show because I get off work at 4:15, 4:30. So I might just see I might just be doing the scroll through and see what the results are because there's no way I'm going to catch it. So,
yeah, and that's
would
why I
have
didn't
thought
want
that-
them to go through Saudi Arabia because you know you're going to most of the universe is going to miss this thing as it happens, and I hate spoiler alerts. And I know it's going to be part of the business, and it's always going to happen. But you know, it's better to see it and have that surprise because.
Well, I hate spoilers
Then you tune
before
out.
the fact. Like if we were watching a show and it comes up, well, then that's just part of the show. Is that what you mean, or do you mean spoilers after the fact or spoilers before?
Oh, just spoilers when before you have a chance to watch it. You know, the few who do throw it out there, and you know you're waiting to get home, and you know everybody like at work, don't tell me, and try to make it home before you. And the people who don't have jobs or second shifters or something who've seen it, and they're blowing it up, and we know who wins before we even get home because your eye glances down, you see the name, and the first name you see is the guy who won, and that kind of ruins the whole thing.
Well, it doesn't help too when like WWE might give out an alert if you have WWE app on your phone, Greg, and they'll be like, alert. But I guess my big thing with TV shows and when people are like, don't spoil it for me, and I'm thinking, well, people want to tweet out their thoughts about the show. It's up to you to not, put that phone away as far away as you can and just try your best to. I don't, I'm not saying you in general, Greg, but like how people are like, well, don't spoil this movie for me, and I'm like, yeah, but people want to give their thoughts on it, and it's like Twitter. Like Twitter is a instant gratification. I don't wait a week to give my thoughts on stuff. Like you want to give. It's like when you're watching a football game or basketball game, you're live tweeting. So I'm now when they give spoilers before, like if they said, "Oh, Big E is going to win the championship," I would be so pissed off.
Yeah,
now that would be, even though they did it, in Raw, or WCW did it for Raw, but anyways, so your Chargers got the. Now I forget who you said that. Oh, Cowboys. You call
we got the
Chargers
Cowboys.
win?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The Cowboys just lost another big name. DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be gone, I believe, for the rest of the year.
Got hurt in practice, didn't he? Or he got hurt somewhere.
Well, yeah, I think he got hurt in practice, but I think he's out for the year, and so that's another big thing for us. That's one major pass rusher out of the mix. And more time for Justin Herbert is bad news for the Cowboys because he just dotted up Washington, and he's not showing any signs of slowing down. He's getting better every game. So I expect another Chargers win, maybe a closer one, 27-20, maybe something like that. But definitely that we stay undefeated. And hanging with Kansas City and the rest of the West, who's undefeated right now. So we're going to be in one of the toughest divisions in the league this year.
Because the big matchup will be Chiefs and Ravens, because we're going to have Lamar going against Patrick Mahomes again. And I think that will be – and that's Sunday Night Football, so that's going to be a good matchup to watch. And I'm sure you saw it, Greg. My Colts are going to be the first team featured on Hard Knocks
in season.
In season. And it's funny because it's starting – like they're starting the shows in November. And like some people brought up, you think eventually it'll get caught up to live real time. And by then, who knows? We could be completely out of the playoffs. Maybe we might be in the playoff hunt. Maybe we might be in a better spot. But that, that's pretty – and the Colts are never a team that you would think, like Cowboys, Patriots, even though – can you imagine like Bill Belichick trying to let Hard Knocks in there for, in-season stuff? We'd probably get nothing. We'd probably get a shut
right.
door. Maybe the Chiefs because of Mahomes. Like the Colts were not on my radar as far because when they said, "Oh, Hard Knocks has a big announcement," I was like, "Oh, they're already ending it." Like I thought they were already ending, the show because I didn't know how much people were watching it. So it's gonna be no, I don't know if I'll catch it or if I'll just see what people tweet out about it, then catch it. That's when spoilers are good, Greg. So I can see if people are tweeting good things or
Right.
bad things. If they're saying horrible, well, then I just won't check it out. So I'm going to say, Greg, I'm not rolling with my Colts tomorrow. I'm going to do the reverse thing. I'm just not going to ride with them. So they pull off a surprise? Question mark. But yeah, I think they lose by 7 or more because, yeah, I'm not. I think we're down Darius Leonard, Braden Smith. So we're down the linebacker and an offensive lineman. They think maybe Eric Fisher, who was going to be the starting left tackle, was going to play. He was the big signee from the Chiefs, I think. And
Yeah, he was.
And there's somebody else out, but of course no T.Y. Hilton for a bit. But yeah, we'll see. So, but I think Monday night's going to be awesome. Going against Monday, and that's the thing too. Like I wonder, depending on the Monday night football game, where we might see that Roman Usos New Day match. Greg, because like last week, I had no idea Eli and Peyton were going to be on Monday Night Football in their own little broadcast, but people were tweeting the heck out of that thing, and now it's coming back this Monday night. So that might take eyeballs away because people were loving it with and then they had Charles Barkley, I believe, on. Ray Lewis was on there, maybe a couple other names like popping up. So apparently that's gonna people. I think we're loving that more than the Monday night broadcast. So that might take some eyeballs away from Raw as far as that's going. But that's it. Enjoy your day. Greg, go catch what you got to catch. I'm going to get some food because I am starving to death. I could eat a horse, as the old saying goes. And keep it real and keep it tight, as they say on Up, Up, Down, Down. Now there's maybe no longer the party. I need to keep it tight. I need that as my signing off. So thanks for watching. Enjoy your rest of your day.